Alrighty, so tell us your name and a little bit about yourself. Just a brief bio here.
Yeah, so my name is Dylan Scott.
From Wales, so more than Dylan Scott taking the win after his incredible Ricky confident before.
I am the defending North American champ, and I am the defending doubles world champ with my partner David Magida in the age group to 30 to 39. And I'm trying to get ready to take another shot at making it to Worlds here in about 2 weeks.
Yes, so how did you get into HYROX? Like, what is your background in the sport and how'd you hear about it?
So I come from a distance running background. I ran track and cross country all through high school. And then after that, I had a pretty bad back injury going into college, which really kept me out of sport for about 3 years. Finally got that under control and then got to run 1 year college cross country. But after that was sort of like, what is it that I'm gonna do? I gotta start loading the sled up. Part of the warm up, to be honest with you, because of the number of plates that have to go on the sled. So,
no, how do you do your weight per sled? Because that's the biggest thing that I know people ask about is how can it translate into HYROX?
It's so like, luckily once you've raced a lot, you start to get an idea of what the sled's gonna feel like on race day. And you just do your best to replicate that. Sometimes I like to go overweight, not just like numbers wise, but also like feel. There's some sleds where, you know, I can work up to 700 something pounds and that feels like a race day sled.
Yeah.
So you don't always know. So what I tell a lot of people is build up to a weight that you feel like you can take 30 steps unbroken. And that's probably about HYROX weight. And then once you get about 30 steps, you should start feeling it in the quads. Yeah. To where you're like, I'm about to have to break here in a minute. That's been a good marker. And I've used that because I travel a lot for work. So I'm at different gyms all the time.
Yeah.
So I've got gyms, you know, all across the East Coast, out into the Midwest, where I've got like a number down that this is what this number is for this sled.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't translate as 440 pounds everywhere.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. What is it, you mentioned work, what is it that you do for work? Because I feel like I see you everywhere and I literally have no idea what you do.
So I work in the field of ergonomics, injury prevention, and corporate wellness programming.
Okay.
Mainly what I'm doing is I'm going to manufacturing sites and facilities and doing job task analysis to assess repetitive motion injury risk and try to cut down on that just from an insurance perspective for the company, but as well as like if you get hurt at work, like it doesn't go away when you clock out.
Right.
So like we have a ton of people who I'm trying to make sure that they're not getting injured on the job. So a little bit of that world, a little bit of the coaching world in HYROX.
Yeah.
But the thing that gets me traveling around the most is that.
How'd you get into really doing the coaching side of things?
So I have always kind of felt like I was a coachy kind of guy. I noticed it even when I was competing in sports, like I was kind of the big brother on the team, and I'm also the eldest of 6 siblings. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so like I'm used to playing like the role of kind of, I don't know, guide and provide, figure out how to navigate things. And my buddy Marcus Friesen, who I met through the sport, had started up his training company about 2.5 years ago. And he was like, hey, if you'd ever like to come on and coach, like there's a spot open for you. And I was like, perfect. So I wanted to get to a place in life where I felt like I could do the coaching well.
Yeah.
So I really slow rolled getting into it. And as of March this year was when I really felt like everything's stable with the family, you know, having a son who's just like a 1.5 years old. We needed to make sure that all the kind of ducks were in a row before I started telling people, hey, I'll coach you, because when I do things, I want to do it well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not looking to give somebody some half-assed program that's not going to help them excel.
Do you do your own programming, or do you have someone, how do you kind of gather what your workouts and week looks like and all of that?
I've always said I feel like I'm very teachable, but I'm uncoachable. In that, like, I feel like I've been coaching myself since I was close to 17.
Yeah.
You know, I started kind of working collaboratively with my cross country and track coaches and bringing them ideas and stuff like that, and they really let me start having free reign.
Okay.
And from there, that's kind of been my thing. I've coached myself up to this point. I have very few people that I feel like I would just turn my coaching over to, or my training over to. And
who would you say are those people? Like, who is it that you trust to get that advice from?
The one person I've always said, if I turn my training over to anybody, I would give it over to Anthony Parasini.
Okay.
So I would work with Lauren's husband, Lauren Weeks, who's the, you know, she's been world champion a couple times.
Yeah.
She's an incredible athlete. I think he's got like just a great brain for the sport. And if I was going to trust anybody, I'd trust him. But at this point, I'm still relying on this whole thing.
You're like, it's working so far, so like, why change it?
All right, so that'll put us at, we got 8 by 45. That'd be 360. Am I doing my math right? Yes, 360. And then the sled bite is 6. So that puts us up at 420. I probably want to do this workout at 5 something.
Okay.
So I'm going to keep building this a little bit more.
And so is this your warm-up, kind of like just doing the movements?
Yeah, a lot of the times I have, for different workouts, I'll have different warm-ups, but it just depends on how I feel that day. Like, what do I feel like I really need to get warmed up for the workout? Today I feel pretty good all around, and so I'm just gonna kind of build the sled weight up. I'll do a little bit of running to get the heart rate up. I'll do a little bit of skiing to make sure the core and the shoulders and everything are warmed up. Before we get into this, I think I'm just gonna run a full HYROX sim today.
Okay.
And we'll see where it goes from there.
Okay.
But yeah, I said, like, when you're trying to do a sim in a gym that doesn't have everything you need, you have to make like a couple of calculations on things. So I'm gonna row here at like a set pace for 500 meters. And I'm gonna end up stopping about 6 seconds short of what it should be to see what that distance is. Because the distance on here per 500 split is about 6 seconds slower than on a C2 from experience.
Yeah.
So for today, if I'm gonna go 1,000 meters, it's probably gonna be like 900 and, I don't know, 60, something like that, 940 is what the difference will be. Same with the assault runners over there. The good thing about assault runners is the wattage seems to stay consistent across models. So I know that 1,200 watts or right about is 6-minute mile pace.
Okay.
So when I come to a gym like this that doesn't have like a pro or an elite, what I'll do is I'll run for 1:30 at 1,200 watts, which should give me 400 meters.
Okay.
And whatever it gives for that is what I set as the 400 meter equivalent when I do workouts.
Okay.
So it just makes it a little bit easier to transition from place to place.
Okay. And
So
how do you feel about running on like the free run treadmills?
I love them. I've got one at the house. Big fan of them. I think that at a certain pace, they actually get easier.
Okay, what pace is that? Because the rest of the world thinks they suck.
479. Almost dialed right in on that one. So when I get on here to do my 1,000 meter row, it'll end up being like 945.
Okay.
Is about right. So I think when you're running slower than 430 kilometer pace, they're actually harder. When you get faster than about 315 or 320 kilometer pace, they get easier.
Okay.
I think it's just keeping the momentum of the belt at that point.
What about the people that fall in the middle?
If you're right there at 4 minutes per K, that's almost the perfect same spot as if you're outside.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've always said slower than 430, it's probably harder. Faster than 320, it's probably easier. 4 minutes flat to 410 is almost the perfect catch pace. And I've told that to people before and they've gone and like tried it out and it seems to work like for a lot of folks.
Okay, that makes sense.
In my opinion.
So what do you think the best athlete background translates into HYROX?
I think if you look at the athletes that we like see, you've got guys in there that are cyclists, you've got guys in there who are like soccer players. But I think people who are cyclists that have a high top end sprint, not really your climbers, they're normally too small. But you get somebody in there who can really put out good wattage on a bike. I think they translate over well once they figure out how to run. Same thing with rowers. So if you get like a lighter end weight rower who can also be fluid running, that means that they've got really good power output on the ergs and stuff, which plays to a lot of things well, but at the same time, now they can run. Normally really good rowers are pretty big. Yeah. And they're really tall and they're kind of gangly and they don't always translate well to running. So you've got to get a smaller rower who has that power but also can run. And then the other thing, I think you find like soccer players, midfielders, tend to be really good because they've got that fast twitch muscle to be able to sprint when needed, but at the same time, they've just got that long haul kind of deal. Yeah. Which that's what you see out of Sandy. Sandy's he's a former footballer. Yeah. But at the same time, you look at Tobias Lotwin, he was a cyclist. And then you go look at like me and Ryan Kemp and stuff like that, we came from running backgrounds. Right. So it all just, you know.
It sounds like it's a heavy endurance background though.
Yeah. You've got to have, I don't think you see anybody who comes from like, I was a power lifter. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's the common thing, a CrossFit athlete becoming a HYROX athlete. What's your take on that controversial?
The way that I've felt about it.
Opinion.
I would say that I think it's a bit pompous for CrossFit athletes to think they can just walk in and dominate a sport because they are very good athletes. I'll give them that. But your best CrossFit athlete is going to need 2 years of specific training to be able to go up there and compete at the top of the sport. Yeah. They're aerobically underdeveloped. Yeah. And they would have to shift their training drastically for about a year or two to be able to get there, in my opinion.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
We might just be listening to gym music today, boys. Connect you, potato. 2, 1, go.
You did good. Here you go. Hold this. Die with that in your arm. You're filming? So how does it feel?
Rough.
Give us a synopsis of what just happened.
Yeah, I think I said beforehand, I was like, man, it's really hot in here.
Yeah.
And really humid, and I was gonna probably blow up. I definitely didn't come into this rested. Like, I was carrying fatigue, and I just wanted to see, like, when I'm really tired, can I still give a good effort? I think the final time on that was what, like 57?
57, like 15.
Okay, so, I mean, not bad for a simulation here. Like, you don't really have much of a rock zone.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to deal with that much, but I had basically a rock zone transition for the ski, and was playing with, I think the sleds were heavier than on race day they'll be. So I think that played into it, which is good. Like, my legs were absolutely fried coming off of that. The running was good. Yeah, I think overall that 57.15 was probably good for a 58 flat in a straight up race right now, which if I can roll a 58 flat on a day when I feel meh, I feel all right with what I can do in Amsterdam. Yeah, it should be good. Like, I'm not too upset with that. That's not bad.
What is your best station?
Normally when I'm hitting them right, burpee broad jumps.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I'm normally near the top end of everything. But I can row with the top people as well a lot. So I split that pretty well. But yeah, you know, I'll have the data from this. The heart rate was definitely super high. I mean, you can see, I told you guys I was gonna lose like 8 to 10 pounds in just like an hour, which I think that had the heart rate a little higher than normal.
Do you normally do like a race fuel, like mid-race or anything like that? Because I saw you sipping on Gatorade. Is that normal for a race?
Like 35 minutes in, normally when I'm heading to the rower, I'll take something right about then.
Yeah.
And that works pretty good. But other than that, nah, I mean, just like a gel at the rower. Today I was just doing Gatorade. I mean, yeah, I'd have loved a little more AC up in here. I was hurting, like that heart rate got jacked up, and I could feel like I had done some really hard stuff on Thursday. Yeah. And then I did some like isolated quad work, and went on the sleds. I was like, ugh. Like, I could feel my legs just blowing up. Yeah. But I think it was a good sign that I came in and hit those, blew my legs to pieces, and was able to still find my run again. Yeah. And like finish okay. The wall balls could have been better. I didn't love how much I had to break on that, but I knew, like. What's a normal like break for you on wall balls? I love to be able to do one break, possibly two. Like 70-30 is really good. Like when I'm clipping them good, I'll go 70-30. But 60-20-20 can sometimes be an option. Yeah. But today was like 30, 10, 10, 10, 10, 15, 15, something like that. Yeah. Like that only adds, that doesn't add up to 100. Add another 10 in there. That'll be 100. But yeah, like all in all, not a bad showing. So kind of tell us a little bit about like what a normal like week looks like training wise for you. Like how many hours are you training? Just to the point where they're not going to give me benefits. So just under 30. Yeah, I'm doing about 25 to 28 hours a week. A lot of time on the bike. Running wise, I'm probably about 45 to 50. And then ergs, I'm on the ergs for a good 80 to 90 kilometers a week, which that translates to about 50. Yeah. And then I'm on the bike a ton. Like I ride the bike around 35 to 40 miles a day. Okay. That's my morning. Like get up, push for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And how do you balance life? Work on the bike. Like sometimes you're doing computer work on the bike, and you can get stuff done there. I mean, like, do you really, like, you don't balance life, honestly, when you're like, my life's not balanced. Like, it's not. I do, like, I mean, I think I just prioritize, like, 3 things. It's just work, family, training. Yeah. And, like, those 3 things stay in place. When it comes to, like hanging out with friends and doing a lot of stuff, that only happens in an athletic context, mostly. Yeah. And I'm okay with that, like, for now. It's fine. But, yeah, I will definitely say my life is unbalanced. But I don't know how many people get to the top of anything with a super balanced life. Yeah. Like, it's not feasible. Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. Yeah.
So what would be your biggest like takeaway or like biggest advice you give someone like starting out with HYROX, starting out racing, anything like that? Like what's your piece of advice?
I think the biggest thing, if you're looking for just like training impact, biggest piece of advice is going to be like, you're probably going to run more than you think you need to. Like you're going to need to run more. You can't escape a race that's pretty much 70% of the time of the race is going to be you running.
Yeah.
So like you're going to need to run more than you thought you should. And then don't underestimate the power of like easy work.
Yeah.
For long duration. It built particularly on ergs. It builds a lot of muscular endurance, builds a lot of durability. And even if you're not like pushing it really hard, you're still getting a lot of benefit from those things. So I would say erg a lot and run more than you think you should.
Okay. Okay, noted. What is your biggest like thing you're looking forward to? What's this year's goals?
I mean, like, I want to make it back to Worlds again. Every single year that I've competed, I've been in the elite wave at World Championships, and I'd love to keep that going. Every year I've raced, I've won at least one race. So I'd like to win another race this year at some point. We'll see where that'll be. I think the biggest thing, though, is just I don't want it to consume me mentally.
Yeah.
In that, like, I understand how fragile the human body is and how quickly this kind of stuff can go away.
Yeah.
And I've lost it before in life, where I went like 3 years where I couldn't compete at all due to like chronic pain and issues with nerve problems. And so I just don't ever want to let my mind slip back to where I was the first time I ever got hurt like that, because I lost like a sense of self and identity.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure that while I'm doing all of this, if I get really worked up about it, I stop myself and go, are you having fun? Because if you're not having fun, like, I need you to reassess everything, because this is all just a game. It's all just a game. There's a little money involved. There's a little, pride involved. But at the end of the day, sports is just recess.
Yeah.
Like with
adult recess,
it's just adult recess with your friends, and you should really enjoy yourself doing it.
Yeah.
Because it's not that serious.
That's a good takeaway.
Yeah.
Awesome.